My name is Omar Abdulkarim, and this is the first masterclass in the series from the Twin Cities Jazz Festival. My father is a trumpet player. He started teaching me when I was 14 months old, and I fell in love with it, and I played all the way through school from the beginning, all the way through college, where I got my bachelor's degree. I love all styles of music, but I fell in love with jazz. My father was friends with Miles Davis, so I remember growing up, when I got older, listening to Kinda Blue albums and things like that, and I knew all the solos because my dad used to play them in the car and in the house, and I used to hear all of those songs, so it was just a part of me before I even knew what it was. So when I graduated high school, I still wanted to extend my knowledge for music, so I decided to go to college. I was exploring, and I ran into one of my friends that I grew up with at a jam session that I hadn't seen in a while, named Greg Paulus. He's a fellow trumpet player, and he sounded amazing. He blew me away, and I'm like, where have you been at, man? He's like, oh, I got a full ride to Manhattan School of Music in New York. And I was like, I gotta go to New York. And that summer, my father and I, we drove up to New York, and I auditioned for the New School University, and I got accepted with scholarship, and yeah, so I moved to New York, and it was amazing. It was the best thing that I feel I did for my music career, as far as being in the scene, being around the professionals, and just learning the music from the masters, the people that came before me and established the path. Kind of a long story. I didn't really want to leave New York, but I ended up playing on cruise ships. Was on a cruise for about a year, all over the Caribbean, all over Asia, which was a good experience for me. And when I finished that, I had been off the scene for about a year from New York. I didn't have a place, and because I missed my family, I'd been gone for 10 years, and there was a lot of musicians on the Minnesota scene that I've been wanting to work with for a while, that I was excited to develop a musical and personal relationship with. So that was one of the main reasons why I moved back from New York. I love teaching, in the sense that helping somebody out, because I've been through a lot of ups and downs with music, trying to figure it out, and I've had some wonderful mentors that made things easier on me, and if I can help somebody else out and make it easier on them, it's such a gratifying feeling. So if you're new to exploring jazz, Black American music, it's all about listening. At least it was for me. I had to just listen. That's how you learn the language. Just like as being a baby, You copy your parents, that's how you learn how to speak. Same thing with the music, you have to listen. If you don't listen, you're not gonna be able to speak the language. So that's a very, very important part. And there's so many different styles of the music. And it's funny to me how people, they may hear the word jazz and they have one connotation of what they think that is, but it's so broad. There's so many different styles that to put it in one box, you're gonna do yourself a disservice. So one approach that I like to do, that I learned through listening to an interview on Clark Terry, was imitate, assimilate, and innovate is one approach that I like to use. So when it comes to imitate, there's a lot of different aspects to it that you can work on. First off, you have to listen to the music. Find out what you like. It's like food. One person may like something else and you may not like it, but you have to find out what rings your bell, what makes you excited, what you're passionate about. One's man's trash is another man's treasure. So you find yours, that's exploring the masters through the music. And like I said, there's different aspects to it when you're developing your sound, as far as the tone on your instrument. That takes time to work on. Articulation, your phrasing, using space. Harmony, different ways, and all those different things that you focus on are going to help create your sound. So those are things that you're not going to learn in a book. A lot of schools try to teach you stuff through a book, but you have to listen to get that feeling and the phrasing and learn how to use space when you're improvising. So those are aspects that I'm going to dive into as far as how to develop those. I remember this story that Miles told about hearing this record with Dizzy Gillespie, and he heard this note. He's like, man, what is it? I don't know what that is. So he went over to Dizzy's house. I wish I had the opportunity to do that, but Miles was blessed to be at that period of time with the Masters, and knocked on Dizzy's door and was like, hey, Dizzy. He opened the door and, what is this note you played on this record? So Dizzy brought him in, sat him at the piano, and played a chord, whatever the chord was, and he showed him the note that he's like, this is the note right here. And he told Miles, if you're gonna be a jazz musician, you need to be a pianist. So you can develop your ear and hear the harmony, and it helps you create your own sound by knowing what you're doing and what you like and what you don't like. Once you know what it is, you say, oh, this is a sharp 11 that I'm doing. I like that sound. And then you can explore more on developing that sound over the chords. So when it comes to imitation, it's all about listening. And when you're trying to figure out a line or something that you really enjoy listening to, First thing is to be able to sing it. You got to be able to sing it, because once you can sing it, you can play it. Especially for trumpet, because you have to hear it before you can play it on the trumpet. Sax, you hold the key down, that note's gonna come out. Trumpet, it don't matter what key you hold down. If you don't hear the note, anything can come out. You know, let's say you hear something like a line like this. If you hear that line, first thing is, you know, sing it. Then you have to try to, you know, play it on your instrument. But one thing that a lot of people miss that I feel is very important is to pick up the inflections of the person's sound. That's what gives it the character and an ability to master your instrument to where you can get those different inflections in your sound, whether it's a piano player by his articulation or the trumpet by the vibrato or the texture of his sound. Or, those are all very important. That takes time to get down. So if you were to hear this line like this, so you can start off singing some of it, you know, so it would be like, that would be the first part, and then play that. And like I said, try to pick up the inflections of the sound, the articulation, the feel, the phrasing, all that is very important to tap into. So an example of segmentation and repetition would be if the lines so you could do the first part. And do that 4 times. Then the next part. And then you would put them both together. And then the next part. So the next one would be assimilate, and that's where you really master the things that you listen to. And it could be a line or a phrase, and one way to do that is to put it through all 12 keys, whatever you're learning, and repeat it over and over and over and over until it becomes natural to you, where you don't have to think about it, where you could wake up in the middle of your sleep and you could sing it. You know what I mean? That's when you've mastered it and you've made it your own. Yeah, so assimilation would be getting it to where you don't have to think about it, where it becomes second nature to you. And one way to doing that is putting it through all 12 keys. So in any situation you're in, you can play it. Especially, comes really in hand when you're working with vocals. Because vocalists, you know, depending on how their voice is feeling that day, they may say, oh, take it down to minor third, or take it up, or whatever. So by playing everything through the 12 keys, it's really gonna enable you to be comfortable in a lot of different situations. So on top of you learning those lines and making it your own, you're going to be in a situation where you feel comfortable. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can put it through the 12 keys, but you can do it in half steps. You can go up in whole steps. You can go up in fourths, minor thirds. And every way you do it, it's going to expand your ear and free you up to a lot of different musical situations. So it could be. The last one is innovate, and that's where you put your own twist on it, what you're feeling at that moment, and you make it your own. So that's very, very important to the music, is having your own individuality. Because if you sound like somebody else, you're not going to do it as good as they do. So you got to come in there and bring in what you got. And that's the most important thing to the music as me, is what do you have to say? What is your voice? Because your voice is valid as everybody else's. When it comes to innovation, which is the last step, also as far as I was speaking to my friend Chris about exploration on top of innovation, I feel that it's connected, because when you're exploring, you're creating something from yourself, from within. But that comes along with innovation, when you may hear a line and you want to make it your own. You want to put something else on it. So for an example, I was playing this line again. That could be what you learn, but then you would say, oh, let me make that my own. You could do. So you start off with what you're hearing, and you're just adding your own thing. So another way to change the line could be inverting the line, like so. So eventually you'll get to the point where you'll be creating on the spot, hearing whatever you're hearing in your head, it will come out. You have that freedom because you've developed that. Example, like. No matter where you are, you should be able to labor at what you love, you know. If you're good at what you do, you can go anywhere in the world. The way you can express your own individuality as a musician, especially in jazz, and have a conversation with the people in the band musically. And I feel like that's an amazing thing to have, because that's what should be going on in regular life. everybody bringing their own input, which everybody's voice is valid, and expressing yourself, and everybody listening in a respectful way. Because everybody has their turn to speak, everybody's listening, you may add something in just with the music. So it's a outline for life, the way jazz is set up for me. Once again, my name is Omar Abdulkarim, and I thank the Twin Cities Jazz Festival and MacPhail for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure.